So this is our 10th year anniversary, and when we started 10 years ago, we had 5 students, and actually the students didn't even live on campus. So from that point to where we are now with 40 students, 24 living in residential housing, participating in traditional courses, Clemson life courses, all activities on campus.
Wait. No. Wait. Stop it. Stop. Don't even start typing, okay? Even I have some bridges I won't cross when it comes to the hype and hate video. Believe it or not, there are some things that are off limits for Uncle Lou. I'm not about to sit here and make fun of Clemson in that way. Not going to do that. It's a great program. And I've got a lot of Clemson friends. I'm not fixing to go down that road making fun of the Clemson Light Pro. I'm not going to do it. So whatever outrage you were about to have, just let it go. I got too many people I know that are Clemson fans for me to even go down that road. Hell, just last week, I had a bunch of Clemson fans that I know over to the house to help me out with something. I got some video of it here. I'm just kidding. All right, forget all that. I'm not making fun of that. It's a joke. That's a great program they have going there. In all seriousness, let's get started with the hype and hate video, though.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. You know why? You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers. I say that's the bad guy.
I thank the Lord for my many blessings. Don't stress and keep a vest for protection from the barrel of a Smith & Wesson. And all my niggas in the pen, here we go again. Ain't nothing separating us but my Mac 10. Born in the ghetto as a hustler. Hold up, straight soldier, bucking at the busters. No matter how you try, niggas never die. We just retaliate with hate, then we multiply. See me striking down the block, King Congress. Mobbing like a motherfucker, living like I'm grown up. Ain't no stopping at the red lights. I'm sideways, thug life, motherfucker, crime pace. Let the cops put their lights on. Chase me, nigga, zigzagging through the freeway. Race me, nigga, in a high-speed chase with the law. The realest motherfucker that you ever saw. Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody gotta die.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody gotta die.
You don't have the guts to be what you want to be.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody
need people like me.
Everybody gotta die. Everybody say goodbye to the bad guy.
So you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
Ain't no escape from a deadly fate. And every day there's a million black bodies put away. I'm starting to lose hope. It seems everybody's on dope. Mama told me to leave cause she was broke. Sometimes I choke on the endo, creeping out the window. Alone on my own, I'm a criminal. Got no love from the household. I'm out cold on the street screaming motherfucker peace. I got nothing to lose. There's something to prove. What do I do? Little thug life, niggas stay true. I wonder when they kill me, is there heaven for a real G? Lord forgive me if you feel me. Cause all my life I was dirt broke with no hope. Little skinny motherfucker wanting dope. I hated cutting suckers with my razor blade, but every day is a struggle to get major pay. Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody gotta die.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody gotta die.
You don't have the guts to be what you want to be.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody
need
gotta
people
die.
like me.
Everybody gotta die. Everybody say goodbye to the bad guy.
So you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
The only way to change me is maybe blow my brains out. Stuck in the middle of the game to get the pain out. Pray to my God every day, but he don't listen. The poverty bothers me. But mama's working wonders in the kitchen. Listen, knocking, they were crying in the bedroom. Praying for money, will never get what she be dead.
DJ Mimo.
Am I wrong for wishing I was somewhere else at 13? Can't feed myself. Can I blame daddy cause he left me? Wish he would've hugged me too much like him. So my mama don't love me on my own at an early age. I'm getting paid and I'm strapped so I never be afraid. What did I go astray? I'm hanging in the back streets, running with G's and dope fiends where they jack me. Can't turn back, my eyes on the prize. I got nothing to lose, I got nothing to say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody gotta die.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes.
Say goodbye to the bad guy. Everybody got a
You don't have the guts to be what you wanna be.
Say goodbye to the black guy. Everybody
need
got
people
a
like me.
Everybody got a job. Everybody say goodbye to the black guy.
So you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy. So say goodnight to the bad guy.
Yeah, you know what the fuck this is?
Go on.
You in the mix with my homeboy, DJ Mimo.
The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again.
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the first real hype and hate video of the 2024 season. I did a hype and hate video last week, week 0, for the Florida State Georgia Tech game and talked a little trash about both of them, but kind of just a warm up. And if you remember back to last season, and I'll go ahead and remind you, I guess now, I won't be doing these hype and hate videos every single week. I've been doing these hype and hate videos every Friday before Georgia games for about, I don't know, 6-7 years, something like that. And a couple of years ago, it started to get a little boring for me, a little repetitive, because of the schedule, the way the schedule was structured, and Georgia's playing a bunch of the same teams every year. And like, really, how many years in a row can you come on and make a hype and hate video about Vandy, or even Kentucky, or even a team that like I enjoy shit talking, like South Carolina or Florida? Like, it started to get a little bit stale, I felt like. So last year I didn't do them every single week. I did them for, like, you know, the big games, if Georgia was playing a ranked opponent, or if something particular about the team we were playing was rubbing me the wrong way, or it was a team that Georgia maybe doesn't normally play. So that brings us to this season and Clemson. And I thought about it, you know, should I do it? Should I not do it? I said, well, we don't really play Clemson that often, so I guess I'll do it. We play them about twice a decade for the last 40 years or so. Georgia and Clemson used to play a lot more regularly back, 70s, 80s, way back when. But I think this is only maybe the fifth or let's see. This will be the second time we've played this decade. Played twice last decade. And I think maybe one time. I think this might be only like the fifth or sixth time Georgia and Clemson have played in like the last 30 or so years. I say, yeah. We might as well come on here and do one. Now, this isn't going to be some kind of a great game or some type of a big game. This was a much bigger game 2 years ago when it was played to kick off the 2021 season, right? Clemson was sort of still at its peak. Georgia was ascending. They were knocking on the door. They were close. But, man, if you look at where these two programs have gone since that game was played in 2021, it's opposite directions. Georgia has skyrocketed. They've won 2 national titles. They haven't lost a regular season game since 2020. They haven't lost to anybody not named Alabama since 2020. And Clemson, on the other hand, has gotten worse every single day, but every single season since that first game of 2021. They made the playoffs in 2020 and had a pretty good team, but since then it's just been downhill. They've lost more games every single year for 3 or 4 seasons in a row now, culminating last year with a 4-loss regular season, 8-4. Just abysmal, the path and sort of the trajectory that Clemson has taken over the last 3 or 4 years, especially when you consider where they were at in sort of the mid to late 2010s. They were at a minimum the second best program in America during that time period. And you could make a case that for a 3, 4, 5 year period, they might have been the best program in America. They won 2 natties in 16 and 18. They played Alabama, I think, 3 times and beat them twice during that 4 or 5 year period. You can make the case. Now, yeah, overall, Bama was sort of the team. 2008 to 2020, they pretty much dominated. But if you take a smaller sample size of that and you look around 2015, 16 to 2018, 2019, you can make the case Clemson was the best program in the country. My, how the mighty have fallen. Clemson is a shell of what they were. They don't have the talent. The coaching is not there. And I'm not talking about like, well, this position coach is better than that guy or this coordinator or that coordinator. I'm talking coaching from a philosophical point of view. And I'm, of course, referring to NIL and the transfer portal. Dabo Swinney has torpedoed that program. You know, people have always referred to Clemson as Auburn with a lake. Or is Auburn Clemson with a lake? I don't know. But they're similar, I guess. But At least in the case of Auburn, when Auburn had a head coach that was trying to torpedo his own program, Brian Harsin, they were smart enough to get rid of him. Clemson just keeps Dabo around year after year after year. I mean, he's not even trying to keep up anymore with the big boys of college football. Now, you can say, well, that's his prerogative. It's his decision. That's the principles that he stands on and blah, blah. You say whatever you want. He's like the friggin' violin guy going down with the Titanic, you know? I mean, good for him, I guess, right? He's a real gentleman, Dabo Swinney. If I was a Clemson fan, I'd be irate. I've talked about this before. Honestly, nothing about Clemson's football team bothers me. The thing that bothers me about their fans, though, is the excuse making when it comes to the decisions Dabo's making with NIL and the transfer portal. Like, if I was a Clemson fan, I would be screaming at the top of the mountaintop how unacceptable this is. You're handcuffing yourself, and it's one person's fault. It's Dabo Swinney. And, oh, well, we recruit a certain type of guy, and we develop, and we this, and we that. That's fine. But there's teams that out-recruit you every single year and are better than you to start with. Georgia, Bama, Michigan, Ohio State, whatever teams you want to name that's recruiting in the top 5 or 6 every year and are better than you year in and year out. And they're using the portal while Clemson just stands idly by. You know, Clemson is like the marathon runner that gets lapped late in the race. That's what they are. And they're standing still. That's the problem. I don't think necessarily that Clemson has gotten a whole lot worse. Well, I guess they kind of have. I mean, we'll have to look at some position groups. But even more than that, more than Clemson not being as good as they were 4 years ago, you've got the other top teams in college football that mostly are as good as they were 4 or 5 years ago, and they're getting better through the portal every single year. No one is suggesting that Clemson needs to take the Florida State or the Colorado approach and go out and hire 40 mercenaries a year to come in and play mediocre football. No, but I don't care how good of a football team you are, there is somebody in the portal that can make you better. And if you're a Clemson fan, just look around at your roster and your production, primarily on offense, over the last 2 or 3 years and ask yourself, are there any portal players that could have made you a better team? That's the only question you need to be asking. That's it. That is it. There were multiple quarterbacks you could have brought in. You didn't do it. Multiple wide receivers over multiple years you could have brought in. You didn't do it. Running backs, offensive linemen, whatever. And they're not even trying. They are not even trying. There are All-Americans entering the portal. This idea that the portal is filled with a bunch of duds. Now, I'll give you this. The majority, the overwhelming majority of people entering the portal are not the top of the top, cream of the crop, highly talented, elite sort of All-American potential players. I'll give you that. But neither is high school recruiting. The overwhelming majority of high school players that end up playing in college don't end up being great either. That doesn't mean you don't recruit any high school players at all. You cherry pick. I mean, for God's sakes, man, Ohio State went out and got Caleb Downs. Bama brings in, without Jamison Williams a few years ago, Bama would have been 8-4. And they got him through the portal. Something like 4 of the last 5 Heisman winners are portal players. I mean, the idea, it's like Clemson fans don't understand. They think it's like it has to be all one or all the other. It's like, we don't want to be Colorado. You don't have to be Colorado, but do you want to be Georgia? Of course you do. Of course you do. Do you want to be Alabama? Do you want to be Ohio State? Do you want to be Michigan? Do you want to be a team that fucking matters in modern college football? We're about to go to 105 scholarship limit, whereas we've been at 85 for a long, long time. Well, what if Dabo comes out next week and says, I know college football is changing the rules. Things are changing. I get it. But I just really believe in the 85 scholarship limit. It's just, it's part of who I am as a person. I just believe that 85 is the right number. So we're not gonna give out 105 scholarships. We're just gonna give 85. What do you think that would do to you as a program when everyone else is now signing 20 additional people for their roster on scholarship, and you're sitting there at 85? What do you think that would do? That's what he's doing with the NIL and the portal. Now, I love it as a Georgia fan. I love watching what used to be a good team circle the bowl, circle the drain. I'm just waiting on somebody to come along and flush it. And that somebody is me today in Georgia tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about Clemson's team, although there ain't much to say, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Cade Klubnik's an absolute disaster. He's a failure as a quarterback. He was horrendous last year. Well, there's a lot of development from year 1 to year 2. I didn't see anything last year that tells me he's just 1 year's worth of development away from knowing what the hell he's doing in playing quarterback. The guy takes an ungodly amount of sacks. Half of that is because the offensive line is terrible. The other half is because he just holds on to the ball too long and struggles to read a defense. He can't go through his progressions downfield. He gets happy feet. He leaves the pocket too early. He makes terrible decisions with the ball. Clemson turned the ball over in every single game last year. And here's what's just unbelievable. They also forced the most turnovers. That's unreal. You're lucky you did that. You think 8-4 was a bad record? Had you not had the good luck to go along with the bad luck, you turned the ball over every game. The good luck was you forced more turnovers than any other team. That's not a repeatable stat. I'm just here to let you know. Turnovers on offense, that is repeatable. A quarterback that throws interceptions and just throws interceptions, or running backs can't hang on to the ball, those things are repeatable. Forcing turnovers on defense, there's too much luck involved in that. Tip passes, a fumble, the ball bounces this way or does it bounce that way? There's too much luck involved. The odds of Clemson leading in forcing turnovers defensively again this year are slim to none. Can you imagine if on defense, instead of leading in turnovers, you'd have had half that amount? You probably would have been 6-6 instead of 8-4. But you turned the ball over in every single game last year. A big part of that is Cade Klubnik. He's back to lead the charge. Whoopity fucking do. He's not any good. No one's worried about him and no one's scared of him. And even if he was good, who's he going to throw the ball to? Now, I've heard from the Clemson fans, they got this guy and that guy and Wesco and TJ Moore and this freshman and this sophomore that was hurt last year and didn't get to play. Here's the thing with Clemson, especially on offense. It's a bunch of well, if this and if that and if this guy that, and it's a lot of fucking ifs to be going up against this Georgia defense in week 1. You're going to have to be able to check a lot of boxes off in the yes column for those ifs if you want to have any chance of even keeping this game close with Georgia, which you don't. If Cade Klubnik has progressed by some miracle by a long shot from last season to this season, if a couple of these highly rated wide receivers who have never done anything at the college level end up being real good immediately, game 1 this season. If Matt Luke comes in and turns water into wine and somehow gets that offensive line to actually pretend they know what they're doing. If Maffa is able to carry the load at running back as the primary workhorse as opposed to what he's been doing, which is the secondary guy to Will Shipley. If all of that happens, that's a lot of ifs, bruh. That's a lot of ifs. And you're not playing Duke. You're not playing Duke, who you lost to 28-7, by the way. You're not playing Duke. There are no ifs on Georgia's defense. There aren't any. This is going to be bad for Clemson offensively. Y'all scored 3 points the last time we played. It's hard to ever predict a shutout, but I struggle to understand how Clemson plans on getting first downs in this game. I like Maffa. He's a good running back. Will he be as productive as the number 1 as he was as the number 2? Probably not. Not in a yards per carry. Not from a yards per carry standpoint. It's just simple math. The more carries you have, your yards per carry tend to go down. And here's the thing: a 1-2 running back combination is great, but who's behind Maffa? I mean, I know you got this guy and that guy, and if they're good and if that, but it's a bunch of if. They've never played. And they got to go out there and play against this Georgia defense, and it's just a recipe for disaster for you. Clemson is just not the team in the program they were 4, 5, 6 years ago. I know that's a hard pill for Clemson fans to swallow. We've talked a lot this week about reality. Reality is coming like a tidal wave for the Clemson man, and it's going to wash some of you out to sea because you're blinded by dumb homerism and just loyalty to Clemson for God knows why, but you are. It's a mismatch. These two teams are not close, right? They're just not right now. I can't be any more complimentary of Clemson from 4, 5, 6 years ago, late 2010s. I just got on telling you they're probably the best program in the country for a 4 or 5 year period. There's no question about it. No doubt. They're not that now, and Georgia is. And even before Georgia was that, the start of it, the beginning of 2021, just ask yourself this: is Georgia better today than they were when you played them week 1 of 2021? And are you better today than when you played them week 1 of 2021? Georgia is way better, and you're way worse. So you're not going to lose this game 10-3. It's going to be much worse than that. Flip it around, okay? Defense, because this is where Clemson does have some serious football players. I mean, Clemson's got a really good defense. There was some legitimate question and concern when Brent Venables left. How's this going to affect the defense and things like that? And so far, it hasn't affected it very much at all. Clemson has continued to be one of the best 10 defenses in the country year in and year out. And I expect that trend to probably continue this season. But this will be the best offense you play all year. Carson Beck's the number 1 returning quarterback in all of college football for a reason. For all this stuff they talk about Cade Klubnik last year, well, it was his first year as a starter. It was Carson Beck's first year as a starter last year. He threw for 4,100 yards and like 6 interceptions or whatever, a bunch of touchdowns. I mean, he was one of the highest rated quarterbacks in the country. Georgia had a top 5 passing game last year. He was top 5 in yards, completion percentage, you name it. It was his first year. Let me ask you this. Does Carson Beck get the same benefit of the doubt as far as having a big leap from year 1 to year 2 that y'all want to give to Cade Klubnik? Oh, well, players get a lot better from year 1 to year 2. Well, really? So Carson Beck's going to be even better than that? Well, good luck, especially with that secondary, because you got some holes back there. Now, your front 7 might be one of the best in the country. There's no question about it. Is it Barrett Carter or whatever? You got Sammy Brown you brought in, 5-star. What's the defensive lineman's name? Is it, I can't believe I'm drawing. He was a freshman last year. I'm drawing a blank on that. He was a freshman defensive lineman, maybe defensive end or defensive tackle. I'm drawing a blank. Peter Woods. Look, I'm not, even though this is a hype and hate video, even I'm not stupid enough to come on here and shit talk Clemson's front 7. It's legit. So is Georgia's offensive line. It's going to be a great battle in the trenches when Georgia has the ball. No question. I think Georgia's offensive line will win a few battles on a 3rd and short here and there. And I think Clemson's defensive front will win a few battles on a 3rd. Shit talking is one thing. You got to try to remain at least a little bit realistic here. Clemson's front 7 is dominant, okay? I don't think Georgia's going to push them around for 4 quarters. But over the course of the game, I do like Georgia's front to win the overall war, if you want to call it that. I do think Clemson's front 7 will win some battles along the way. They're too good not to. But that secondary, you're replacing a lot of people back there. Is it something like 4, your top 6 secondary gone from last year? Safeties are great. Safeties are okay. Corner could be an issue. Oh, Georgia ain't got no wide receivers. I don't know. Where is this even coming from? Dylan Bell. Great for Georgia last year. Dominic Levitt, great for Georgia last year. Arian Smith, a 4th, 5th year guy. He'll be the fastest guy on the field. Oscar Delp would start for almost anybody in the country, but he's been behind Brock Bowers. He's so good. He's been playing since a true freshman, even though he was behind Brock Bowers on the depth chart. That's how good he is. Is he Brock Bowers? No one's Brock Bowers. But he's plenty good. He's as good as Bringing Stool or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. The Tater man that plays tight end, who's probably that Bringing Stool is the only guy on your offense that really you can rely on. Everything else offensively for Clemson is a hope and a wish. Man, I hope this guy's good. Man, I hope that guy's good. Man, I wish we had some experienced wide receivers. Well, we recruited this guy a couple of years ago, and he's been hurt for a year, but maybe first game back against the Georgia defense, maybe he'll do something. Yeah, maybe he will. No wonder Dabo Swinney is scared half to death this week. And canceled his call-in shows? That can't be a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. He had all offseason to make that decision. He could have announced that in May for no reason. He didn't. Why didn't he? Because they weren't planning on canceling the call-in shows. What has happened to lead up to that? 2 things. Tyler from Spartanburg last year. Y'all, if you're a Clemson fan, you know who that is. If you don't, Dabo Swinney does a weekly call-in show where he takes live calls on the air on a radio station that nobody listens to from fans. And a fan called in last year, Tyler from Spartanburg. And boy, this guy reamed Dabo a new asshole live on radio with at least 11 people listening, and it went viral. And it was hilarious, actually. And did they make the decision then to stop taking calls? No. Did they do it a month later? No. Did they do it at the end of the season? No. Did they do it during spring practice? No. Did they announce this decision in the middle of summer when nobody was paying attention? No. May, June, July? No. When did they announce this decision? I already told you the first reason, Tyler from Spartanburg. Here's the second reason. Dabo and Clemson have been practicing the last couple of weeks, getting ready for this Georgia game. And even though Dabo's an idiot when it comes to the NIL and transfer portal and the direction of college football, he is a pretty good football mind, right? And he's been watching Clemson. He's the head coach. He's been watching Clemson practice for the last 2 weeks. And he knows that what he's seeing is not beating Georgia. He knows that. He then knows he's going to have to go on and do that silly-ass call-in show next week. And he knows he's going to get a bunch of calls with people asking him, how'd you let Georgia get so much better than you? Why aren't you using the portal? All of our wide receivers were terrible last week against Georgia. Why didn't you get one out of the portal? Cade Klubnik threw 4 interceptions against Georgia, Dabo. Why didn't you get a quarterback? He doesn't want to have to answer those questions. So he comes out last week and says, hey, just FYI, just letting you know ahead of time here. No more call-ins on the coaches show. I haven't seen Dabo Swinney this scared. Seriously now. I haven't seen Dabo Swinney this scared or this nervous since the 8-year-old kid that lives next door to him came over to his house, knocked on his door, and told Dabo, hey, Dabo, I need to ask you something about your brother. Marinate on that for a second. Marinate on that for a second. Quit looking at my shoulder. What's wrong with you? This is a family channel. Quit looking at my shoulder. Tater, man. Anything else we want to talk about, or should we just end this now? I could go on for hours and hours humiliating and embarrassing you. TigerNet. I've made a couple of videos about these team message boards in the past. I think I made one about an LSU message board maybe a year or two ago or something. TigerNet's got to be the dumbest message board on the planet, and that's saying something because all team message boards are dumb now. Because the only people left on message boards anymore are people who were on message boards 25 years ago. Before there was social media and Facebook groups and YouTube channels and Instagrams and whatever else. None of that stuff existed, but what did exist was team websites and then message boards associated with those websites, like TigerNet. So the only people still on there are the people who were on there 25 or 30 years ago when that was the only option. 25 or 30 years ago, these people were 25, 30, 35 years old. Now they're 60, 70, 75 years old. It's just a bunch of old fucks on these message boards. In fact, if you go to TigerNet right now, about half the posts on there aren't even about football. They're about some weird story about how some guy ran into Danny Ford at a Shoney's in 1984. It's a bunch of people who think they're insiders because they've given a lot of money to Clemson over the years, and they, their neighbor's kid gets his hair cut by a lady who lives next door to, the jockstrap manager at Clemson, and he swears the wide receivers are ready to go. It's a bunch of that kind of shit over there on TigerNet. Well, they upped the ante this week. One of these dumbasses over there posted the weather report for Atlanta, Georgia this Saturday, where I guess it said there was a chance of rain or afternoon thunderstorms or something in Atlanta. And he typed out this big long post explaining why he feels like that favors Clemson. And there was a bunch of shit about the run game and being scared of Georgia's passing game, but maybe if it's raining, Georgia won't be able to pass the ball that good, and Clemson can't pass the ball anyway, so if it turns into like an ugly, defensive, muddy game fought between the trenches, maybe it'll have a chance. Now, never mind the fact that none of that makes any sense. This game is played in a fucking dome! This game is played in a dome! What is the... And here's the thing. It's not just one dummy. You go down and you start reading the replies. Half the replies are agreeing with the guy, and the other half of the replies are going, oh man, no, I don't want it to rain, man. I think Cade Klubnik, it doesn't dawn on a single one of these 5-star dummies that the game is played in a fucking dome. Unreal. Unfucking real over there at TigerNet. And again, yeah, Clemson might be the dumbest one, but all these team message boards are ridiculous. And it's no surprise to me that the Clemson one might be the dumbest. We're talking about a fan base here who has to have directions painted on the street in Clemson, South Carolina to get to the goddamn stadium. They have to paint kitty cat paws or whatever the fuck in the road that, you know, just, well, like, in other words, you stop and ask for directions. Well, you go out here, you turn to left. When you see the tiger paw on the street, painted on the street, just follow those. They have to paint directions to the stadium on a goddamn street in Clemson. Keep in mind, Clemson is the size of like your average Walmart. I'm talking about the entire city of Clemson. It's like the size of your average Walmart. How can you not find fucking stadium? You have to literally have to paint directions on the street, running down that silly ass fucking hill. Hey, there's no hill at the Georgia Dome, so I don't know what you're gonna do. I guess you can bring your pet fucking rock with you. What is it called? Howard's Rock? Jesus Christ. You're rubbing a pet rock and running down a hill, releasing balloons. Actually, I don't think I think some environmental group got onto you, and now you're not allowed to release your little balloons anymore, like a fucking 8-year-old child's birthday party. And we got magicians and all kinds of shit out there. Fucking a guy doing magic tricks. Fucking Dabo Swinney saving people and baptizing them in the name of morality and principle. What about, doesn't it say somewhere in the Bible, thou shalt not forsake the transfer portal? What about that, Dabo? I don't know. This isn't going to go good for Clemson. They don't have the talent to match up with Georgia. They just don't. It is what it is. Clemson could still win the ACC, okay? That's the bright spot. Florida State's in the toilet. We'll see what Miami looks like tomorrow against Florida. NC State looked like garbage last night against Asheville Community College or Western Carolina or whatever it is. Louisville, I don't know. Virginia Tech, I don't know. Anyway, it looks like a Clemson-Miami battle for the ACC, so that's the good news. Tomorrow, after you lose 100-0, it won't have anything to do with your ability to make the playoffs because the winner of the ACC is guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, even if you're 10-2 with a 100-point loss to Georgia, as long as you can, by some miracle, show up in Charlotte in December and beat fucking Louisville or Virginia Tech or some dumb shit like that, then you'll probably win the ACC and make your way to the playoffs where some other team will get the opportunity to bend you over their knee and spank your little bottom blue. Or maybe I'll get lucky and Georgia will get to do it again. There's nothing better than beating Clemson in a season except the possibility of maybe beating them twice. And beating Clemson is something that Georgia has been doing for 100 fucking years. I mentioned we don't play that often anymore, and that's true. We play about twice a decade. We got a couple more games scheduled here coming up in the next 5 or 6 years, too. But it doesn't matter when Georgia and Clemson play. Georgia owns and dominates these dumbasses. Georgia is 43-18 against Clemson all time. So this isn't the type of thing where you got a team and they've only played 2 or 3 times, so it's not really a fair measurement of the programs. This is a very accurate measurement of these programs. Georgia's about 43-18 better than Georgia. In fact, that might be the fucking score tomorrow. In fact, let's go ahead and mark that shit down. You ought not show up. Forfeit. These non-con games, because you have an automatic way to get into the playoffs, make something up. You know, flat tire on the bus or whatever it is that's toting you from Clemson to Atlanta, whatever. It makes something up and don't come. But I make you the same deal. I do this every year. I'll make you this same deal. Dabo can pack up his fucking group of fucking Boy Scouts and altar boys and Sunday school deadbeats and whatever else he's got over there doing shit the Clemson way. Oh, we're all in. We're all in. Yeah, Georgia's about to be all in. Fucking elbow deep up in your asshole Saturday. But if you're dumb enough to show up in Atlanta to tote this fucking beating that Georgia's about to put on you, Georgia will be there waiting. Ready? 12 o'clock kickoff, shit, 12 noon, 12 midnight, it don't matter. Georgia's going to beat that fucking ass. But if that's something that sounds good to you, then tote your sorry fucking asses from Clemson down to Atlanta tomorrow and come get you some of this, bitch.